Good morning and welcome back to Darpan. Last time we had a detailed conversation on how transformations mirror is how internal people behave when you are in the transformation process. Similarly, transformations, another mirror, which I spoke last time, is also how customers are responding to it. So in the eyes of the customer, you will see whether your transformation process is right or it is not going in the right direction. So this program, this session, we are primarily focusing on customer mirror. Now, what do you mean by customer mirror and how does it work? Like a usual Darpan process, we will first, this time, part one, we'll focus on the philosophy behind it, the context behind it, and the next time we'll look at the framework behind it. So we always begin with the philosophy, the context, the emotional element of the conversation that you have with your customer, and then we look at this as a framework and see how customers customers philosophical connection straight away gives us the fundamental principles of how to take care of the customers in a right framework. Okay, so we will start with our conversation on customers mirror. I will keep some thought process in front of you to understand how this mirror actually functions and what are the primary elements of the mirror. So it's a two-part series. Primarily, we'll focus on the philosophy. This series, this part, and next week we'll focus on the framework. Now, most organizations, whatever I have worked with, most organizations tell their customers that transformation will not affect them. That's how it works. And they are rightly going to say that. They are proactive in saying we are starting certain activities, certain elements inside the organization, which will be impacting their our movement in the world, and also it will not have any effect on the customers service, customers turnaround times, etc. But most customers know within weeks that this is not true. The experience degrades quietly. Response time lengthens, product cadence slows, familiar faces disappear, and customers draw the same conclusion what talent was drawing when learning budget or their growth budget was frozen. And what was the conclusion? That they are not the priority. Now, this series will argue that customers' experience is not a downstream consequence of transformation, it is the most honest report card. So, one, we look at the philosophy, then we look at the framework. In the philosophy, this series today will focus on a very interesting part of the philosophy, which is the experience paradox. Now, what is the experience paradox? Why customers read transformation through what changes in their day, not what's announced? You announce through newsletters, you've announced through articles, you've announced through emails. But somewhere inside the head of the customer, there is something contrary happening in his life. So every major transformation carries a certain standard promise to customers. Nothing will change for them. Nothing will be different. Everything will be same. And over a period of time, it will become better for them. And that's why we are doing transformation. This is the promise. Now, this promise appears in sometimes press releases, sometimes CEOs letters, sometimes CEOs emails, town hall slides, conversation from employees to communication from employees to the customer because that's what they have been told. But within weeks, it starts disappearing because because when real experience starts happening, customer is not able to connect to it. They're not able to connect to it. So what happens is leaders launch transformation with their attention pointed at a deal, the structure, the strategy. Meanwhile, their customers, the people on the other side of every product, service, or even the support interaction are watching something else entirely. They are watching what happens in their life. They are not watching what you are announcing, or they're not watching what you are promising. They are not watching what you are doing in your side. They are watching what is happening on their side, obviously. Now, this is the transformation paradox. So, transformation is launched almost always in the name of serving the customer, correct? So, we are launching it in the name of serving the customer for your benefit, for your betterment. But yet, almost every transformation, almost every transformation creates internal reorganizations, leadership changes, diverted attention, frozen products, sometimes stretched support teams. Now, what happens when all this is happening during this period? It tends to degrade the customer experience precisely during the period when this is happening. The organization is looking inward and upward, and customer is only looking at what is happening to him. Customer is holding onto their cell phones, holding onto their screens, waiting for their product to arrive, on which they relied for many, many years. Imagine Amazon doing a rehaul activity inside his organization, and suddenly next day delivery doesn't happen. But they announce that we are becoming better for you. How will it impact you? It won't have any, that announcement will have no impact. It is simply that you were relying on Amazon, and Amazon is not fulfilling that promise in the name of transformation. So, like if you remember in the talent mirror, I said the most valuable employee who defects first is the one who has the most options. Similarly, here, the valuable customer who defects first is the one with more alternatives. The same logic. Transformation's external uncertainty tax, like transformation's internal uncertainty tax was employee churn, transformation's external uncertainty tax is the churned relationships. Now, what is worse, that customer attrition during transformation compounds in a way that is structurally similar to talent transformation, talent attrition, but potentially fast. When a respected customer leaves, for example, they do not leave silently. They leave with reviews written, referrals dried up, conversations happen, budgets frozen, future projects not coming to you, gossip happening, and gossip then amplifies. The signal spreads, and because customers talk to each other rather than to the organization, there is no all hands meeting, no town hall, no CEO letter that can interrupt the narrative that is already established in the customer's mind. Organization sees talent attrition and respond to it. Customer attrition often shows up in the data only after the perception is already calcified. It is already being set. So therefore, we need to understand what our customers actually experience. So among various in last so many years, I've done so many transformation activities. We have been involved in so many entrepreneurial market transformation scenarios, almost everywhere, almost everywhere. When customers go uneasy during transformation, they are rarely reacting to a press release. They're basically reacting to their last three interactions with the company. First, they forgive in the name of the press release. Second, they say, okay, fine, it'll happen. Third is what happens to you also. It doesn't matter what is happening with the organization. Customer means, okay, fine, but take care of me in this transformation stage. So there are basically three things that can happen. One, there is degraded responsiveness. Like support queues will lengthen because team managing them are being reorganized. People will who were waiting for only 2 to 3 hours earlier are now waiting for 2 days for the products to arrive. Material which was going on the site a day before is now reaching the site 10 days later. And degraded experience is the number one. Degraded responsiveness is the number one um, behavioral shift that the customer sees. This is first interaction. Let me put it down for you so that you can. So, three major problems. Number one, degraded interaction. That's the number one problem. Number two. Now, what happens? Number two problem is there is stalled product or service evolution. So, features that were promised on calls with sales team, because of now transformation, they don't arrive. A product that was improving quarterly goes quiet. Customer who chose the organization partly on the strength of its trajectory begin to wonder if the trajectory has stalled. So there was experience number one, then became better, then became better, then became better. Now he got used to this trajectory. Okay, now initially I was not used to your service. Now I'm used to your service. I understand how it's going up. Now I know first interaction with you when I started your work was okay, but as you started working with me, your interaction with me started becoming better and I started loving it. The moment I started loving the trajectory, I feel now this month, no improvement. Next month, no improvement. It is stalled. And when the trajectory stalls because of transformation, customers begin to wonder if company is really improving or is degrading. So, like degraded interaction or responsiveness, the second is stalled growth trajectory. Sorry. Second is the stalled growth trajectory. So first is degraded interaction or responsiveness. Second is stalled growth trajectory. Now, that is the second experience that the customer is having. The third experience is Invisible relationship breaks. The account manager who knew them changes. The implementation lead who held their hand through the from beginning leaves. The technical contact whom you were used to talking in talking very smoothly is no more there. Is replaced by someone starting from scratch. Customers experience this as a renegotiation of relationship that they didn't agree to, and they resent it. Even when they cannot articulate it properly, they know you're resetting the relationship. So on one side, there are customer responsiveness degradation. Second side, there is a stalled product or service evolution. On the third side, there is invisible service breaks, relationship breaks specifically. So there are invisible relationship breaks. Now, this is the state in which customer is going through. While this is happening, while this is happening, the only solution that usually companies think is communication. But communication cannot close the experience gap. It can still um, close the trust gap, but cannot close the experience gap. Why trust gap? Okay. Or you can say faith gap. It can close the faith gap. Okay. I'm communicating with you continuously. So, okay, so I know that you're there, you're not going anywhere, you're telling me exactly what is happening. But customers don't care beyond a point for it. They will need communicate and not communication. So the instinctive response that okay, fine, let's keep communicating is not going to help because there is a deep experience gap. Silence is worse. No communication is worse. But communication gap will not be able to cover up for the experience gap that the customer is experiencing. Experience gap can only be operationally closed by the same leaders who opened it. By the same leaders who opened it when they redirected attention towards transformation and away from the customer, they will have to come back to them and make it clear and clean for them. So, while we listed the problems, so these are the major problems like degraded responsiveness, stalled growth trajectory in service, and invisible relationship breaks. While you're doing this, there are wrong solution. It is not the right solution. Yes, it is a heal. It can heal the relationship for some time. It can maybe do a solution for a faith on you, but it will not be able to cover the communication. Cannot cover the experience. Yeah, it cannot cover the experience. Now, this is something which we have to take care of. So when communication cannot cover the experience gap, we will have to work on something else, which will help us cover this gap. Okay. So the central idea is of the whole conversation so far, the customer's experience is transformation's external mirror. Like employee experience is transformation's internal mirror, customer experience is transformation's external mirror. So again, let me put it down for you. So central idea, customer experience is transformations external mirror. So customers read organizations' actual priorities, not from the communication, but from their service behavior. That is a very important point to understand. So a company's customer experience during transformation is the most honest external statement that you can make, and not a press release. So not an email, not a comforting conversation. The only thing if you can take care of is customer experience. Actually, if your transformation activity is going on smoothly, it should enhance the customer experience, or at least keep it same while the transformation is happening. Customer will not pay the cost or the tax for your transformation activity, because it doesn't work that way. So transformation is not just a test of strategy, it is a test of character. And customers grade it the same way employees do. How do they do that? By what organization does when it is under pressure and could have looked away. And you sometimes really look away. So if I have to really write this down as a final statement, which will help us give the framework, it will be transformation is not just a test of strategy, it is a test of character. And customers grade it the same way employees do, by what organization does when it is under pressure and could have looked away. So this is the primary test of transformation. So like when you say it's an external mirror, that's exactly what it means. That how are you behaving when the transformation activity is going on? Is it I'm taken for granted, or is that you are important for me? So although I'm transforming inside, although I'm doing a lot of things inside, I will be more proactive in ensuring while processes are changing, so they're breaking and then becoming better. I will have to add extra manpower. I'll have to add extra people. I will have to ensure the things that were happening with the old process are not degraded because the process is broken while transformation is happening. Those very proactive steps need to be taken care of. And I call this activity as OpCare because it is OpCare is the best communicare while you are in the in the either difficult stage or a transformation stage. Okay, now having said that, how do I know that I'm not in the state of OpCare? It's the churn. You will see customer churn happen. You will see that customer churn happening. So if you remember in talent, I said you will have to shift the goal from retention to regeneration. So provide learning opportunities to people, show them how they are important, how the new way that we'll be doing later, they'll be relevant. So give them a proper course content, actually work with them. So proactive L&D activity while with everybody getting involved, including managers, including leaders, while transformation is happening is a very good signal to the talent that it is not it's really a transformation for better for me also, because while companies becoming better in the processes, in the system, in the way they are actually dealing in their way of for outside, they're also taking care of me. They're giving me a learning opportunity that when they will become that, I will be ready to take care of it. So employees see this regeneration as an assurance that I am the priority. So retention by giving more money or giving more incentive is not the right way of dealing with employees when the transformation activity is happening. Similarly, like from retention to regeneration was the state for employees. In case of customers, when churn is about to happen, it will happen if you're still thinking of customer retention. Customer retention is not the priority here. Customer resonance is important. So resonance is a different goal. It means customers' experience of transformation, what they felt, how they were treated, whether the organization showed up for them when it was hardest. Are customers part of this transformation story? Do they feel yes, company is transforming? I can see they are moving upward. They're becoming more careful. They're coming to me more often. My product is reaching me at the same time, is reaching at the same thought. The only thing is now there is more care in the whole process. Now, this is ambitious. While you're doing inside so many activities, you have to take care of employees doing this activity. You also have to take care of your customers. So the thought is you will have to move away your goal from retaining customer to resonating with the customers. So you have to the treat the customers not as audience but as a stakeholder in whatever transformation is building. So the question has to change. The question has to change is has to change from how do we minimize customer attrition to how does transformation create customer value and can customer feel it real time? That's the shift. So question that you have to change is how do we minimize? Is the shift of the question. And what is the shift of the question? The shift of the question is, how do we minimize customer attrition? Two, how does this transformation actually create customer value? So usual question is, can we minimize customer attrition? Like the usual question in the employee case is the same. Can we minimize client attrition? You have to change the question itself. You have to say the question is, how does this transformation create customer value, and can customer feel it real time? If customer cannot feel it real time, it is not going to have a bigger impact, and people will start drifting away. Customers will start drifting away. So, like a talent, customer is your very big mirror, just that it is an external mirror and not the internal. Okay, now let's move to the principles, three important principles to carry forward. Now, the philosophy reduces to three working beliefs. Now, why am I telling you and explaining these principles to you? Because these principles or these beliefs will form the roots of the framework that we'll cover next week. So, philosophy, whatever we spoke about right now, about the experience that customer is having, those three failures that customer keeps seeing, and how does it act as a mirror, that reduces to three basic belief systems. First, the unit of customers' trust is not your intention which gets communicated, it is the interaction. So, first, the first one, the three principles that evolve from philosophy. The first, unit of trust is not intention, it is interaction. That is unit of trust. Now, an organization can intend to do a lot of things, can intend to protect the customer experience through transformation, but still fail. If it does not if it does not translate intention into interaction, where interaction is where trust is actually built step by step, step by step. You communicate something, but interaction is what actually will ratify that communication. A strategy to protect the customer's experience is the only real support that you can give to your transformation activity. Because the moment you start failing for the customer, you will also start losing the steam, the power, the movement that you're happening for the transformation. So that's the first important principle. Second principle, transparency is not the same as communication. So what does that mean? Customers do not need more messages during transformation. They need more honesty. That distinction matters. Communication is where organization controls the timing, the framing, the channel. Transparency requires acknowledging what is genuinely uncertain or genuinely degraded, and doing so before the customer feels it, experiences it, or discovers it himself is genuine transparency. Customers who are told in advance that a product milestone will slip, or a delivery will not go, or a site will not be ready, have a fundamentally different experience of the slip that the customers than the customers who simply notice it while you communicated well. So, what I will say, in uncertainty or in transformation activity, proactive honesty is the currency that buys the continued trust. And unfortunately, this can't be simulated, this can't be faked. So, the second working principle is transparency is not seen as the only currency that can buy you the time with customer is proactive honesty. That's the only currency. Now, having understood the unit of customer trust is interaction. Second, transparency is the only currency. A third working principle, customer relationship is the medium through which transformation travels. Transformation doesn't travel through talks. It only travels through customer relationship. So transformation creates strategic value on paper. It creates new capabilities. It creates new markets. It creates new efficiencies. The value becomes real only when it reaches the customer. When new capability solves a problem they have, when efficiency produces a pricing or a service benefit. Treat customer relationship not as something to be protected from transformation, but as a channel through which transformation's value eventually must flow. Customer's relationship is a channel through which the transformation's value flows. And developing that channel is not an afterthought, it is the mechanism by which the transformation justifies itself. So, like trust is built only through honesty, like interaction is the only unit of trust. Similarly, we have to understand that every transformation flows only through customer relationship. You always, while sitting in a room, need to have a chair where you're discussing transformation activities, where you're discussing any decision you're taking. You need to feel a customer sitting there and he's asking that question, what will happen to me? How are you taking care of our relationship? The customer relationship is the medium through which the transformation flows. And developing this channel is not an afterthought, it is a mechanism by which actual transformation is justified. It is justified, without which it doesn't work. So, if I have to just put it down on for you? Customer relationship is where the transformation actually flows. And if it is not the final thought in your head, it is not the end game, then every activity that you're doing is failing. So understand, you need to develop this relationship as a channel of transformation. It is not a afterthought. It is not something that you can live without. You will have to live with. It is the only thing that you have to live with and not without. Okay, so the three important beliefs I spoke about are not aspirations, they are design requirements of any transformation activity. So, if I had to just put it down as a very simple thought, whatever I spoke here, the three principles that evolve from philosophy, these principles are actually nothing but your design requirements for the transformation framework. They're design requirements for transformation framework. Without this, no transformation framework will ever be able to survive. And this is the key to transformation mirror for from the customer's perspective. So, like we saw transformations mirror from the employee perspective, we will have to also see the employee becomes your internal mirror, customer is your external mirror. You are standing in between and being judged every single day. So, biggest shift is it's not about retaining talent; it is about regenerating during this activity. So that will be your biggest currency. If you're able to regenerate talent while transformation is happening, they will wait for you because they're now waiting for that great thing to happen because now they're also ready to apply it in the new you. At the same time, customers need to feel resonated. So we don't need to keep them aside or keep giving them communication that we are changing, so please have patience. They don't have patience. They don't want to have patience. Why should they have patience? Their external mirror. So if your transformation activity is not being resonated through them, then it is not going to be a successful activity. Of course, honesty will buy you currency, is buy you trust, but honesty will buy you trust for some time. Factually, during this time, you have to ensure interactions are functionally valuable, not just emotionally comforting. They need to be functionally valuable, not just emotionally comforting. And when these two mirrors are sorted, when your reflection, these two mirrors look beautiful, then you're actually transforming in the right way. Okay. So that is the part one of the philosophy part, which we will then continue the next week in the form of the framework, for which there are three important principles that we discussed. These principles are design requirements for the framework, like interaction is the unit of transformation is interaction. Second, transparency is not same as communication. And third, transformation flows through customer relationship, and that we have to keep it. So we have got the design requirements of the framework, which we'll see how it works next Saturday. Till that time, if you have any questions, you can ask me now. Okay, no questions. All right. So, just to summarize everything that we have done so far, it is important to understand that every transformation activity is being judged by two basic, very important people. One is the employee, and second is the customer. And how am I performing will be seen in these two mirrors. It's not seen in what you perceive, it's seen in these two mirrors. So, if employees are going, customers are falling, your transformation is not the right way. If your good employees are leaving first with more options, dangerous. Good customers are leaving first with more options, dangerous. You have to take care of them. You have to take care not through communication, but through real operational care, OpCare. And OpCare is the real output of communicare, and that's not communication. That is brutal honesty sometimes, real interaction on the ground, and ensuring and making people feel that you are my fundamental unit of transformation. You are the reason why I'm flowing, and that's how transformation activity flows through customers. All right. So with this, I will take your leave now, and we will connect again next Saturday on seeing how this philosophy now builds into a detailed transformation framework from the customer's perspective.